Many people will fight you down when you sit down.
All right, we are back, and so music's a little. We're gonna fix the music bumper there. I actually debated about getting some new music, but how could you can't go wrong with Bob Marley. And so if you're asking, well, who is he? And what do you mean? This is Seattle Sports Weekly. It's Tuesday. Yeah. Kind of change things around, the dusted ourselves off and ready for new day. That being Tuesday. We went from Thursday to Tuesday. And we're also starting at 11:30. So it's just before high noon. That is, it's 11:30, and we're gonna go 11:30 to 12:30 now, and you're gonna see more frequency, and that way the show will be. We won't take such a long hiatus. That's why we switched, because the Seahawks continue to have Thursday, which is on Thursdays. That is when the press is allowed to go there, and it's the quarterback. Meets with the media, and then it's open locker room. So we were like, we can't really, the opportunity to talk to the players one on one without the mic, without the video, and all those things is just an immeasurable access that we have, and we want to give that up. But it also allows me to give you a sense of, I should say us, depending on what your pronouns are, but I am a he, and so it allows me. It's funny, you could actually talk third person without really thinking about it. So in this case, it's CascadiaSports.net on Rainier Avenue Radio World with D Money. So I guess it's us, because it is a production. It is multiple people that get you here, and so I'm just glad you all are listening. And again, so I'll give you the Seahawk. If you care, actually, yeah, you probably do. So this, how the NFL, journalism world rotates as you go. They'll play on Sunday. Monday, you will get access to the coach. And then Tuesday, the NFL is off. Hey, that's why we're now on Tuesdays. And then Wednesday, the coach speaks. And for the Seahawks, it's Bobby Wagner, DK Metcalf, and a couple other players. And then Thursday, that's when it's the quarterback's day. Geno Smith and a couple other players will speak, and it'll be all in the locker room. And then Friday, the coach. Oh, and also Thursday, the assistant coaches speak too. So, anyways, Friday it's the team's last practice before they take off. If they're last public practice, public to us, and then after that, Saturday the team does a walkthrough. So there you go in terms of what the world of the Seahawks and why we're here. And I just glad to be here, to be honest with you. And we'll see. We might be a little rusty. I doubt that, but we'll take it as we go. It'll be what it is. But yeah, big sigh. Got to take you there, just in terms of the what's happening in the Middle East. I don't really have any sides to it. It's just sadness, pure sadness, just in terms of the killing that's going on. And just if you're standing where I stand, just in terms of humanity, anytime, killing is bad, whether it's in the United States, whether it's on Rainier Avenue, whether it's in Tacoma, whether it's on Lawhurst or Lake Stevens, I don't know, Portland, whatnot, DC, you name it. Zimbabwe, I mean, you just, Addis Ababa, fighting going on parts of Africa as well. But if you ever stop and think about it, it's just kind of a somber note, and how the world is. And I mean, there's just a lot of conflict going on. So the hearts go out to the kids and the families, but I always think of the children. And war does not discriminate; it kills everybody. So I don't care which side you rotate on. It's unfortunate. Hopefully, there's a resolution to there. And did you feel the earthquake a few days ago? 4.2. I did. I actually felt that earthquake, and I was going, "Whoa!" Actually, I thought it was some little kids running around the building. It turns out it was an earthquake. I'm glad I didn't turn out to be the old man, the curmudgeon. Hey, quit running around and all those things. Because what it was an earthquake. So as I understand it, there was no casualties. So good. So you get an earthquake like that, it's kind of a warning. You got to remember, okay, what am I supposed to do in an earthquake? The door panels underneath the desk and tables, and it's just a reminder. But so there you go. But we are sports and things. A lot of stuff is happening in Seattle. I mean, it's just that nexus of Seattle sports tonight. I talked about the Seahawks coming off the bye, so 3-1. We'll have more for you. As I say, they're off Tuesdays. One of the greatest soccer players of all time, Megan Rapinoe, played her last regular season match last Friday. 0-0 draw. She plays for the OL Reign, of course, and a goalless draw with the Washington Spirit. And they have one more match against the Chicago Red Star and to see if they're in the playoffs or not. And I say she's one of the greatest soccer players. Male, female, just the way she revolutionized that position, her free kicks, and her ability to just how she reads the game, right? Not just the initial pass, but the second one and things like that. If you didn't get a chance to see her, hopefully the Reign will be in the playoffs. They play, like I said, one more game, and they right now they sit in the sixth place in the Northwest Women's Soccer League, and they have one more game, as I said. So they could go in, they could not, but they have to get that result on when they play the Chicago Red Star. And then quickly, Seattle Kraken begin their third season tonight against the last Las Vegas Golden Knights. And that's the most appropriate nickname, Golden Knights. If you think about Las Vegas and, everything that's going on there. But look, it ain't no city of gold. You go down there, you gamble, you're going to lose more so than not. But anyways, as I say, the Kraken play their third season and they start the start to their third season. This is the second time they've played the Golden Knights. So remember, those are the two last expansion franchises. So it goes back. I'll give you more notes and things like that. But what I'd like to do is when we have a guest waiting, um, we like to get him on, and he is, uh, it's one of those things, right? When a legend or somebody that has been the front face or front of a program, stays a long time in a good way and then passes it off to the next, you know, the heir to the throne, if you will. And sometimes it takes a little bit in terms of that, that assistant or that next person in charge to understand the team and understand their leadership. They, as that coach, leadership as in the team. So there usually is kind of a that process. I think that what organizations and teams why they get somebody internal is so that amount of time is really short. That is the time that the person the next coach comes on and finds out who they are. But I've got to tell you that has not happened over at Seattle University. The Redhawks right now are they're ranked 17th, um, and they were 23rd with a 7-2-2 record. So they're 5-game unbeaten streak. And I'm just going to bring on the coach of the Seattle Redhawks, Coach Nate Daligcon. Are you available to come on and join us?
Hear me? Perfect. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. I know you're busy. Thanks for taking the time out for a few minutes here.
Not a problem. It's nice to get out of the rain. We just had training, so it was perfect timing. So yes.
Oh, okay, absolutely. Thank you. So, well, how was the practice? Just the team's got to be feeling good. As I said, five game unbeaten streak here. What's the mood of the players right now?
Yeah, I think it was interesting. I think we were disappointed in dropping points at GCU, and we had chances to come out with a victory, but it was also a great learning environment for us as well. And how can we get better and improve, for this next game ahead? So.
All right. And since we're having a conversation, we're going to be all over the board, coach. We'll go soccer. We'll go, stepping on board. But let's go. Let's go a little bit back on the bio there. How did you get started in soccer? Little Nate. When did all that start?
Yeah, my family was never around the game. I think I was a kid that played all different sports, and in the fall it was either football or soccer. And so my parents, I was a smaller kid, so they threw me in soccer, and every fall I'd play and enjoyed it, and just kind of went through that side of things. My dad actually played basketball and baseball, and so soccer was new to him as well. So yeah.
And you're from here, or were your parents from where?
Yeah, so grew up in Burien, and
Wow.
went to Highline High School, and so yeah.
A local boy, the absolute term in that from the soccer sense. Yeah, and then you went to Highline High School. Then obviously the college career over at SPU at the heyday. You in 1993, you won. Y'all won the Division II national championships. What was that like, just in terms of coming to age and that? And you were a two-time All-American, actually.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it was great. I mean, SPU at the time was, was on the national stage in Division II, and that was back when we would still play a lot of the Division I schools, and so I was able to play with some great players, and I think we went to the Final Four 3 out of my 4 years there, and so it was a great time, and got to meet a lot of guys that I still know and still talk to, and so that's also great as well. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Peter Hatrip is kind of the regular. He's
Mhm.
our soccer analyst on the show, so we'll have him next week to talk about the Sounders. But you went on A League, obviously, and then 96 through 2000, you won 4 titles. Whoa, with the Rochester Rhinos, one with the Seattle Sounders. Most interesting, the 1999 U.S. Open Cup Championship. What was that like? And if you could tell, why was that so unique?
Yeah, it was. I think we were the last non-MLS team to win, and Rochester was a great environment. You're getting 14, 15,000 fans out at games, and it was a great soccer community, and that was a great run in terms of, I think we beat 4 or 5 MLS teams during that stage, and played with some really great players. I mean, Pat Onstead, who's the GM for Houston Dynamo now, and Mauro Biello was on that team, and he was the assistant coach for the Canadian national team. And, so there's some great players, great guys that played on that team. And, it learned a lot in terms of helping me in terms of coaching down the road as well. So.
Yeah, so then, as you're saying, is that when then what started to formulate for you as a coach in those times? I mean, what did you start seeing or noticing to kind of get you ready, as you said, formulating your coaching experience?
Yeah, I think, that probably wasn't something that I was looking at right away. I could always figure out things as a player, but I think after my last stint with the Sounders, and I started kind of coaching in the youth leagues and in the select travel stuff, that kind of piqued my interest even more. And so, I think those were the times where it's like, okay, this is what I want to do for professions. So.
Yeah, I mean, you led Emerald City FC G93A to the 2005 Winter State Championship, assistant coach at SPU 2009. And then how did you get with the Redhawks? Because in 2013, you also coached there. What had you go there? Or...
Yeah, I think I'd talked to Coach Fewing, and I think that was one of the things where you always want to test yourself at the highest level, and they were Division One. They were kind of starting to build the program up again, and so I think that really piqued my interest, and I knew the assistant athletic director, one of them, who kind of took care of soccer, and he asked me if I was interested, and then just conversation and kind of went that way. So yeah.
All right. So then and obviously Pete Fewing, we'd be remiss. He's, one of the great, ambassadors of the game, hence the Pete Fewing Cup between the UW and Seattle U, which you actually won. What was that like in terms of, the atmosphere of that day?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a fantastic atmosphere. I think wherever you play that, you play it here, you played at Washington. I think, and I think our guys, were up for that game, and I think it was back and forth. It was a great college soccer game, and we're lucky enough to come out on the winning side of things. But I think it was a great night for soccer community, but then also the university as well. So.
No, absolutely. How have you been? And I'm gonna go with some questions, Coach. Here we go. How have you been able to build the consistency of your team? You start out with the loss to Portland. I get it's an exhibition, but I'm looking here. Never have you lost 2 games in a row, right? I mean, the worst stretch, if you will, and I say that tongue in cheek, was Gonzaga. You tie, you lose to Loyola Marymount, you tie, well, number 14 Denver, and then just to circle back, then you beat Washington. How have you been able to keep your team consistent and believing in your message?
Yeah, I think we've always, from day one, we've said, we're focusing on the next game. So we're the game at hand. And so basically, I know it's kind of cliche to say, but for us, the guys have been very good about focusing on training that day. How do we improve? How do we get better? And looking at the game at hand is an opportunity to improve and to get better as well.
So what's the difference? Are you when you were a player? I didn't get too far into that, right? And like the difference as a player and as a coach, what did you have to kind of, to say, okay, and what I mean by that is, as you kind of grew as a coach, what trait, one of those traits that you're like, I can't really be that as a coach?
Yeah, I think there's, as a coach, and when we talk to players coming in, and we talk to the players when I took over, a lot of this is about relationships and how you are with the players and how the players are with each other as well. And there's a trust factor of trusting what the coaches are saying and trusting what the team's doing as well. And so, sometimes as a coach, you want to make changes at certain times, but sometimes it's okay to look at it and really trust the players and kind of go with the players and have that trust that they can get things done. And so I think that was one of the bigger things, is number one, just making sure that there's a lot of trust within the group, and also making sure that they know how important those relationships are on and off the field as well. So.
And then, just so that question didn't, thank you for making it positive. So it doesn't sound negative. I'll flip another one in there. Just what are some of the traits you took as a player that you now hold as a coach?
Yeah, I think, I was always pretty level-headed as a player, not too high, not too low in terms of getting things done. I think those are things where, when you have that trust in your team, there's that aspect of, all right, we know that we can get a result. We know that these guys have the ability to do this thing. So we're kind of looking and making sure that, kind of even keeled in terms of during games and during training sessions and letting them work through things as well. So.
Yeah, self-disclosure for y'all. Listen, I do some of the Seattle University games, and that is something me, depending whether it's Harvey or Jason, but we've talked about that, and I think the most amazing. We talked about your level-headedness during the Utah Valley game. I mean, you were down 2-0, right? And then, I mean, did you want to say anything? Because you were just calm. And cool and collected, if you will. There we go. Sorry, I don't know what happened there, but we're back. So and I know you've got to go, but to wrap it up, just um, the Utah Valley game, you were down 2-0.
Yep.
And did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, yeah, it wasn't very happy for sure, and you're coming off, you're coming off the Washington game, and I think that was one of the things where we had to work through that, and kind of let the guys kind of work through that. We got to halftime, we got some goals, and so that definitely helped out, and we kind of, hey, we're getting chances, we're going to get chances, and just kind of stuck with the process. And I think that helped with the guys in terms of, we didn't go and make wholesale changes at that time. We kind of went with that trust that, hey, keep doing what you're doing, we'll get things done. And so I think those are things where I've learned a lot, working with Coach Fewing and over the 10 years on, okay, when do you have to do certain things? And I think that time worked out, and the guys got it done. So yeah.
They did, Coach. And I mean, you've got some pretty amazing players on your team, and I don't want to put you in a position where you got to name all 25 of them, but obviously Charlie Lamphere, your goalkeeper, has been steady in the back. And just how important is that, especially the way the modern game is, to have a solid goalkeeper, not only keeps the ball away from the net, but the distribution process there.
Yeah, that's a huge trait of Charlie's. Like, he's been consistent, and his ball playing with his feet and is very good. And so I think that helps us with being able to possess and build. And we know that if he needs to go long, he can as well. So.
Yeah, and then James Morris, 7 goals. He's 2 behind the leader there. Just what kind of a player is he in terms of as a forward?
Yeah, James has been great. I know he had injuries last season, and so he really worked hard not only on coming back, but then also, staying in the training room, making sure that he's healthy for the season. And he's been, when his confidence is high, he's a different goal scorer for sure. So, and he's brought a great senior leadership in terms of being a captain and helping the group, and kind of helping to get that message from the coaching staff out to the players as well.
And then lastly, I mean, you're speaking of James as well. I mean, the unselfishness of your team. I mean, you've got 2 players in the top 10 in assists, Hirokawa Kotara and James Morris, which is unique in terms of being, he's there scoring, but he's also an assist. What is it about your team, or the message about unselfishness? The message of team play.
Yeah. I think they're all, that we always talk about the team first and making sure that it's more than just an individual or individuals. And I think, once that message was said at the beginning, the players have ran with that. And, there's some players that maybe want to play more, or we're honest with them on what they need to work on, but they know that they could be called at any time. And, we trust all players can step in and help the team. But I think, some of them just have to wait their turn. Some of them have stepped up, and done a great job. But I think it's more of the team aspect, and making sure that all the players are part of everything. So, yeah.
All right. So he is Coach Nate Daligcon, leading the Seattle University Redhawks, who are number one at the present moment in the WAC 10 men's soccer. They've got some tough upcoming games, which I know the coaches and the team is looking to ready for the challenge. But when you're teaching honest, trust, and respect as a club, you got to be confident. So, Coach, thanks for coming on. I know you're real busy, but hope to have you come back down the road maybe.
Yes, definitely. So,
all right. Thanks, Coach. All right. He is Coach Nate Daligcon right there. So, like I said, I mean, shoot, comes in first year and he's got the team, first place. Now, look, obviously the cupboard wasn't bare, but, coaches have to come in and put their own kind of imprint on it. He's done that. So let me just take a look here. I should know this schedule, but I will tell you right now. They've got, and we'll have him back on because we don't want to go too far. He was so gracious with his time. He stayed longer. So Thursday, the Redhawks, they are at Utah Tech in that game, 6 p.m. And then, no. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Thursday, they are at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley in Edinburgh, Texas. And then if you get a chance, look, Sunday, October the 15th, the Seahawks are away. They play the Bengals at 10 a.m. So you could go. You could actually go to Championship Field. I'll be there. The game's 2 p.m. and they will take on California Baptist. And so get out there, support, and see one of the best teams that's playing in this area right now. So we're going to, we're going to take a break. Coach Scott Laigo's here. And, man, we're going to roll through some half hour. I can't wait. A lot going on in terms of, the area. And we're talking soccer, football. We're going to go to the other one, the UW, and we can't be there right now in 3 minutes. The UW the public press conference for their new AD. So I'd like to, Coach Scott's going to tell us just kind of about the whole UW process. I mean, AD process. What does the AD, historically normally do? And then we'll go into kind of, the challenges at the UW right now, the NIL, and and then I think there's somewhat of a game between those two teams, Oregon and Washington. So we'll preview that. We'll talk NIL, and we'll just catch up with one of our experts, one of our friends on this show, Scott Laigo. But right now, we're going to go on break, and we will be back.
Rainier Avenue Radio.
Hey, Seattle, here are some storage tips to love food, stop waste. Onions make potatoes sprout faster. Keep onions away from potatoes. Ripe bananas give off a gas that makes the fruit around them ripen faster. Store bananas away from other fruits. 40% of food in the U.S. goes uneaten. Save money, save food, save the planet. Visit Seattle Public Utilities for more tips.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. I'm Granville Emerson along with my partner,
Ronald Pepe.
And we host the show Little Line Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, where we talk about football, basketball,
Local sports.
national sports, Seahawks,
UW.
Seattle U Redhawks,
Garfield Bulldogs.
all that and more right here on Little Line Sports, Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Queen Bree, inviting you to come join me on Clean Greens Living. Broadcasted Tuesdays, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Clean Greens Living, we talk farming, community, and ways to being healthy. So come join me and let's discuss ways to create a healthier you and a healthier community.
This is an important message about coronavirus. With coronavirus still spreading, those who are most likely to get seriously ill must take extra precautions. You are at a higher risk for getting seriously ill if you are over 65 or if you have any serious underlying medical conditions, like heart disease, chronic lung disease, like asthma, diabetes, or if you're undergoing cancer treatment. If you're at a higher risk for getting seriously ill, it's essential you take extra care to protect yourself. Stay home, avoid close contact with others, wash your hands frequently with soap and water for 20 seconds, disinfect frequently touched objects like doorknobs and light switches. The choices you make are critical, and their impact is significant.
Here with the Rainier Avenue Radio Traffic Update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio Traffic Update.
Yeah, that's more like it. We're back. That's right. Now it is high noon. We led up to it. It is high noon. Okay, we're gonna keep the same music. We're just gonna get better quality. And I gotta remiss. There's my little niece, Chuniso. God rest her soul, and her music lives on. So does her legacy. So we'll always have her that sweet Zimbabwean music going on. What we also have in terms of it's kind of music to the ears if you're a sports person in a local community. One of those individuals, we talked about it quite a bit. I gave the lead up in terms of community member, coach high school. Now he's got his let me talk about his organization, and then former UW coach. So he is in the know in a lot of things, not only youth, but the college football scene. So without further ado, though we moved to a new time, we kept some of our old friends there to get us through the night, if you will. Mr. Scott Laigo, can you come on?
Hey, Maz, how are you, man?
Man, I'm good. What's going on?
Well, just the quiet, times in college athletics and quiet week in college football this week. So, nothing going on.
Yeah, I thought I'd kind of bring you on and we struggle about what to talk about. So look, man, oh man, I know where to start. Your organization, I never give it enough time. We always kind of throw it at the end. So tell us what that one's all about.
Well, I run a program called Student Athlete Advocates. Started it when I was at my time at Garfield. Just recently spoke to the Franklin girls and boys golf team. I was out at the Renton High School Jamboree this year to talk to their team, to their kids about the NCAA recruiting, eligibility, and financial aid process. And probably now today more than ever. And I think I've sent you a few things on it over the past. Coach Prime was just recently talking about it. I mean, high school kids just aren't going to get recruited as they used to in the old days because of the portal. And so for these kids really need to think about the bigger picture and how they can get recruited. And if I was to show you a map of the United States when it comes to colleges, it's pretty much from the Midwest to the right to the East Coast is where all the schools are. On the left, the West Coast is pretty, low in numbers. Just use Division II football, for example. There's only Central Washington and Western Oregon on the West Coast, and they play in a Texas league. So they travel a lot to, go back and forth. It's not like go to see your kid play down at, Tacoma or go see him in Portland, stuff like that. You've got to make a commitment. So the point is that, these kids, unfortunately, a lot of parents and kids think today it's all D1 and it's D1 or bust. But reality, there's a lot more opportunities out there, and there's great opportunities down there. You can get Division III, you can get as much money there as you can as a Division I scholarship. So we just educate the process. We're not a recruiting agency. We don't do any of those things. We just teach. And try to be the supplement to high school counselors, because they are over inundated and to understand the process. And, just this last week, I just was reading about 10 minutes before I came on with you, Charlie Baker, the NCAA president, is about to go in front of the federal legislation to discuss NIL and all the stuff that's going on. And so they're going to look for federal legislation and what do those changes look like? How does it work? What does it, represent to you as a kid, student athlete? And a lot of people, like when I did the golf thing, the golf kids didn't know there's only 6 girls scholarships and there's only 4 boys scholarships in Division I golf teams, but there are 10 players on each team. So you kind of do the math. If you're not the number 1 player, you're probably not getting a full ride scholarship to play Division I golf. So it's a game that you really have to understand how it's being played on both sides.
Wow. I had no idea. How come we haven't had you on Metro Sports Weekly?
You just got called.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's like, no, yeah, because that's Pat and I were back Thursday, so yeah,
I would love it. It's really if I'm telling the true story, when I was at Garfield, I had a young man that AJ Jimerson, who was going to have a chance to go to Eastern Washington. And this is not a knock, and I want to be very clear with parents and everybody about this, and even the counselors, the schools. This is not a knock on the counselors. This is just the reality where we're dealing with. The average in the United States is 402 to 1 when it comes to students to counselor ratio in the country. So there's a chance you won't even see a counselor while you're in there, let alone what they understand all the NCAA processes and things like that. And then parents say, well, the coach should know. Well, okay. The coaches nowadays in high school, this ain't like the old days where you get, you just do a good job and get your picture up on Applebee's wall 30 years later. You're either winning or they're getting rid of you. It's one of the things. And so those guys are inundated. And to be perfectly blunt, the NCAA and the process has changed so quickly. It's lost its mind. I sent you that thing last night about what Mark Stoops said about, to the Georgia boosters. Well, you want us to win? Give us more money because we got to start giving these guys more NIL deals. So it's just a changing process. So
yeah,
which kind of leads us kind of into the next one. And I was listening to a podcast today with Coach DeBoer about the new AD at the University of Washington, and where he's at and what he's going to have to navigate and all the things that he's going to have to do. What does that look like? What does that look like for all the athletic departments? That's a big task to take on, and it's just a different world that those athletic directors have to take on today. Just because all the money that's coming in, and how it gets parsed out, and how does it affect you with your facilities and all the things that you have to do.
Yeah, no, that we can go into that a little bit. As I said, Troy, Dan, and he's having the press conference now, but we can talk just a moment. Let's stay on this national. Let's just talk national, mention Prime and all those things. Thoughts on what Coach Prime has done to college football? Has he done anything? And just your early thoughts.
If I'm being blunt and honest with you, I wasn't real excited about the way he handled the roster change, but it's also showing you where it's going. And I don't know if you saw, just again, that's going back to my main point. Last week, the NCAA changed the deals. You don't have to have 25 initials anymore. It's the boat's open. You can go do what Prime did and just clean out the boat and just get as many guys as you want in there now. And so that's really going to affect freshman classes, kids that initially come in, and then if they don't think they can cut it, they'll tell them to hit the high road and they're gone, and they'll reset the boat the next year and keep doing it over and over and over again. And they've just opened Pandora's box. And there's some good things they've done. They've shut down the NIL or the portal calendars to shorter days, so kids just can't come and go and how they want to. But it's also, if it's working hand in hand, they're allowing these guys, these coaches, just to clean out their rosters. One of the things that I would, say to anybody in my presentation for parents is to understand the word roster management. And they're managing their rosters now. It's like it's almost like an NFL model. You have to have a player personnel on there. We're going to keep these guys. We're going to move these guys. You got to hold on to the guys that you want in your program, because other programs are coming towards them and offering better NIL deals and things like that. And taking off the gloves of the situation, we are where we are, and that's what they can do. As far as Coach Prime as a whole and to what he's done for the national scene for the football, I think it's been great. He's definitely brought an economic bottom line to Colorado. I mean, I think they read the first weekend he was there, they're the big weekend. They brought $18 million extra to the town. So, I mean, it helps the restaurants. It helps everybody. And, we talk for the bigger picture. If you look at Washington State, they did, when they're talking about them going out of the Pac-12, there was a great article about a little church that does a parking deal every Saturday. And that's how they make all their money. And they're going to lose that when the Washington State goes away. And, the economic impact that those programs, that playing at that level has. So having said that, Prime's definitely brought attention to Colorado into what they're doing. And, I saw this morning they landed a big 4-star recruit. So, he said definitely had his effect there. It'll be interesting to see the long game to see if he can continue to do it. I would, if it was me, I know what he knows what he's got to do. He's got to get some offensive and defensive linemen down there because he's just not there. That's where they really are lacking. And it was evident in the last 2 weekends that they, have lost to USC and to Oregon. So, best of luck. And I mean, he's going into a great conference and he, the Big 12 and can be pretty dominant in that one, especially with the two big boys, Texas and Oklahoma leaving. He can really ascend that thing pretty quickly down there. So he definitely has an effect.
That's interesting. I'll say this: the one thing that didn't get noticed, which is unfortunate in terms of what Dion did, is he had Hunter and the kid from Colorado State get together, and it breaks my heart that people aren't realizing that's also a Coach Prime thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't break my heart because it's obvious. I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? But that was just really unique in that for him to get those two kids together. And
I think even the bigger picture to the whole thing, to you and I've discussed it over in the past. We've had a discussion on the show. The impact for African American coaches. Well, it's going to show that these guys can come in, they can do the job, they can do it properly, they can do the things, and they have to be given an opportunity. And that's another door that's going to get open because of the situation. I mean, is every coach going to have his panache? I don't think so. That's the way he does it. I get it. He's not going to have the sidelines looking like they do, better than even the boys down at USC have it sideline looking, or the way they do things. And that's okay, but he's going to open the doors for more African-American coaches. That's the most important thing that's going to happen in that situation. So for that, I applaud, and I think it's great. And again, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be forever on the college scene. I mean, I would think that maybe he even has pro aspirations, to make it at that level too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. He's definitely put together a good staff too, and so that you've got to commend him for. So, and you're right, the other awesome things he's doing too are great. But, also going back to what you and I were talking about, I mean, look at the new AD at Washington. Now, how do they answer the question down at Utah, who gave everybody brand new trucks? 85 of them. I mean, $6 million deal. I mean, it's crazy to think that that's where we're at. And then to me, that's the other part, that how far do we ratchet this thing up to the next level and make things happen? And it's crazy, man. We are at some crazy times with college athletics.
Yeah, that's interesting. There was 6-month lease, and you have to be on the team for that. So, now I'm like, some of these things are, the devil's in the details. But
the question I would ask, are the student athletes given the proper information? Two things you need to understand about leases. One, you're going to get a 1099 at the end.
Right.
So you're going to pay some taxes on this thing. And two, there's a mileage issue. You can only drive those cars so many miles.
Right.
Well, what if one of those young men has a little friend who lives like 400 miles away and wants to keep making that trip, and all of a sudden racks up the miles and then brings in the car at the end of the lease, and they pass that miles? Do they have that money to cover up that thing? And not everybody's getting the same NIL deals. Not everybody's making, valuations that these, the quarterbacks are making. Let's just cut to the chase. Those guys are making. So again, to your point, the devil's in the details. And what does that look like? How does that work? Are these kids given the proper information that need to be had? I know I'd be, if I was 18, 22 years old, and I was just given a truck, give me the keys. I'm rolling and I'm going to, I'm heading up to Dick's. I'm going to show off my car. I'm going to show everybody. I mean, I get it. So but the kids, I don't blame. It's the adults that need to make sure these kids are given the proper information. And in my opinion.
No, absolutely. So let's we're gonna do something kind of unique. We're actually gonna pop in to the press conference that's happening right now. So D Money, take us in there. Can you pop us live in there?
And then we're going to move into the next space and we're going to dominate that space. And that's the plan. Now, all this said, the North Star in this department are the student athletes. And the way we win, the way we put people in a position to win is by making sure their experience is as good as anybody's in the world. And the things that people don't see, from the behavioral health program to the academic support to sports medicine to the strength and conditioning to the nutrition, the things that people don't see that really define the experience of the kids in the program, we're going to be really, really good at it. And our North Star is always going to shine in everything that we do. And when the North Star is shining, everything else can happen. Everything else can happen. And we will never forget that. And we will never forget the purpose and the objective. This is today's intercollegiate athletics. There's this holistic piece and there's the fiduciary piece. And the people that win balance those two things. And that's the ultimate challenge. And I think at Tulane, we had things really well balanced. And I think at UW, we have things really well balanced. But the key to our future is making sure we have those two things really, really well balanced. Last couple of things I would say, starting this weekend, there's, you can cheer for success. You can hope for success, and that's important. But we need everybody to affect success. And it starts in that stadium this weekend. And that is the greatest home field advantage. One, the geography. But two, I've never been in the stadium for a game. I already know it's home field advantage because I've watched enough games in there over the years on TV. If a UW game is on TV, I watched it because I wanted the experience that I got through the TV. Game day being here, everything else. Affect the success. And that may mean you're cheering, you're loud, and you're into the game as a fan. But you know what else it's going to mean? It's going to mean somebody's going to be involved in the NIL program. It's going to mean somebody's going to help support the annual fund. It means somebody's going to have to step up when we do continued capital improvements. There are a lot of ways, a lot of different people will affect success. And the challenge and the message to everybody is, I want you to affect success. Because in this transition that we're making, and the one thing that we can never afford to do is fall to our knees. Because it's going to be really hard to get back up. We're walking tall, we're standing proud. And I want to make sure that continues going forward. I guess the last thing I'd say, we can't be more excited. My family, I can't be any more excited to be here and be a part of your program, your department, your university, and your city. But I will tell you this, we've been here 2 whole days now. Actually, we've been here about 26 and a half hours. It's home. It's already home. It's our university. It's our program. It's our city. It's our community. And we're all in and thrilled to be here. And President Cobb, say thank you again for the opportunity and go Dogs.
All right. And just to make sure that you're all ready.
All right, perfect. D-Money,
you officially a dog.
Officially a dog.
All right, so there you, D-Money, you are the master. I mean, okay, Scott, I took some notes. Talk about just the timing. Let's unpack that. It's everything you talked about, because he really talked about the balance of fiduciary responsibility and also winning. I mean, you know what? He sounded like he sounded like, I can't say diplomat because a diplomat is in the middle. I can't say president because a president is more about my message. So he didn't, that's the new AD. Wouldn't you think about that? Especially
absolutely.
Affect success.
Yep.
What? Say what, Scott? What's going on here?
That's exactly it. And he hit right on the notes, all the things that he, we were talking about and I brought up. That, I mean, this is exactly it. I mean, you're talking about NIL, how we can do those things here. How can we help with the general funds when you come in? You know, I listened a couple weeks ago, Pat Chung over at Washington State talked about, I mean, you know, so give you a good example, Maz. They're talking about, just did their indoor, they're redoing their indoor. It's 27 million. They're talking about doing the student services is 10 million. They want to redo the basketball. That's another 25 million. That's $62 million. SMU got into the ACC, not taking any dollars from media for 9 years. And this is my problem with the whole system. Then a school of only 8,000 kids, think about that, private school, raises $200 million in 2 weeks from their boosters to cover for the next 9 years for the media deal. And Washington State's trying to take a deal over there, trying to raise $62 million. These guys turn on the spigots of the oil and they raise $200 million. And it's the equity of this thing that's really irritating to me. That's we need to address, and how we figure this thing out. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but we didn't need to have some adults in the room. I don't think federal legislation is the way to go. I think we need to have people stand up, do their job, i.e. the NCAA, take real stand on it. I mean, I think that ship's sailed, to be honest with you, between you and I. But here it relies. I mean, we all know this is kind of what everybody wants. Not we, you and I, but college football wants to have a top 50, 3 or 4 pro, league, super league, then go do it and let the rest of the college athletics be who it is. But it's just the FCS, or you want to call it. I don't know what you want to call it, but I don't know if not everybody can play at the game that those guys can play at when it comes to the finances. And that's the sad part. And to me, and my last thing on Oregon State and Washington State is, I always say this to everybody, and they love it when I say it. I said, what makes me mad about both those programs, if we all knew this was kind of going down this road, why didn't the Pac-12 honestly just pull them aside and say, don't take on the debt you're going to do? Because the way I say it is, they took on Power 5 debt, and now they're going to take on G5 income. I mean, they're only talking about $10 million. Even if the Pac-12 stayed together with the Mountain West guys coming in, it'd be only be a $10 million a year media rights deal. You can't survive off that, man. I mean, that's $100 million after 10 years, and the Big Ten's going to make $800 million. The Huskies in Oregon or USC and UCLA. It's just a math issue, and that to me is the really sad part. And I think Pat Chung said the same thing to what this AD just said. He said, when we talk to our kids about maybe having to make the move down, he said that all their kids said, I just want to get to the league. How do I do it? How do we have good health services? How do we have good mental health and psychologists in our program to make us be able to get myself to the next level? So all the ADs are still dealing with the same problems. It's just the economics to make sure that those things are taken care of for those student athletes, which is the most important thing. It should be about experience.
It's about experience, but I don't know if it's a student athlete. I think though they're being uncollapsed now. I mean,
I don't disagree with you at all.
No. I'm not saying that you disagree, but just putting my thoughts in there, just in terms of that. I really thought, going back to what Denon said, he talked about the effect success. I love how he talked about he went right there in terms of football. I mean, the geographic advantage. And he said to everybody, hey, you can affect whether you're cheerleading, which made sense. So he talked to the student body. This is what the leadership is now and then the NIL, right? Then he goes and says the annual fund. So he's speaking to adults in the room. Then he talks about, the annual fund and raising all of that. And you can tell obviously his competitiveness in terms of, that's not the first time he said, we don't fall to our knees. And, it's harder to get back up again. So I think what you need in an AD right now is obviously the balance of that. But you also have to be creative and understand and talk to everybody in the room. Yeah. I haven't followed Pat Chung a lot, but I hear a lot of whining. And I'm just saying that because I haven't followed a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I shouldn't say that. I think that what I got from him is you need to be, no, I shouldn't. I didn't see any foresight in terms of he understood what was going on. Well, let me take him out of it. I don't want to be I think now as an AD, you not only have to manage the past, the present, but you have to take a look at the future and be innovative in it.
Absolutely.
And understand that you don't control, what can I control? So, having said that, I mean, because, we're just going to have to leave a lot of stuff unfinished, because that's fine, because it's not like this is a one and done for you on the show. With about 2 minutes here, how big is the game on Saturday?
Well, about as big as you can get it. Obviously, college game day is coming here. The ramifications financially for both programs, if they were able to make the CFP, just all aspects of it. Since this year's playoff game is in the Rose Bowl, this is literally one of the last times that maybe a Pac-12 team can play in the Rose Bowl for a chance to win the national championship and things like that. So there's just a lot laying on this line for this thing. I'm happy that it's showing the West Coast is we can sit here and talk about this for hours about the Pac-12 implosion, and that's one whole other thing. But it is totally ironic to me that we are in this position, that the Pac-12 is having probably the best year they've had in 10 years with all of the stars in the league, and we still, and we're imploding this thing. But we are where we are. I'm not going backwards. I'm going forward, and that's where we're going. But to answer your question, this game is huge. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of vested interest for everybody on both sides. It's going to be, it's as big as it gets, man. It's going to be the game on this Saturday. It's heck why it's at 12:30, so everybody on the East Coast can watch it at 3:30. So they have put it right where it needs to be. So it's going to be in it. I have noticed that I've seen some stats. They're both number 1 and 2 in the country in offenses, and they both, I don't think either defense is incredibly stellar, but can play well enough, and to see who can do it. And Washington's getting a lot of their guys back, their passing attack. I think that Oregon, for them to be successful, is going to have to run the ball and try to deflate the ball on the time as much as they can, because I don't think they want to really get in a shootout like they did last year, down in Austin Stadium, because they don't want that passing attack to get rolling, because they got some dudes, that's for sure.
All right. I think that unfortunately, Husky fans, if it plays out the way it does, Ryan Grubb, the mastermind, he's going to keep on going down the road and say goodbye to him at the end of the season. That's just how that goes. So, all right. He is Scott Laigo. Thank you so much, Scott Laigo, for coming on. And then let me do some business. Seattle City Council District 3 debate tonight on Rainier Avenue Radio at 6 p.m. Clean Greens Living is next at 12:30, right after this. I need to know about my smoothie, by the way. And so that's time. And again, Scott, thank you, sir. And we will look to having you back on a regular basis again. D-Money, exquisite. Excellent cut in there. That's what we do. We're so glad to have you on Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. And I'm Mazvita Maraire. Peace.